Welcome to the Fit Dads podcast. I'm Brad Thompson. I'm joined by Ryan Dutton. And Ryan, today we've got a HYROX debrief. So it's a bit of a follow-up episode to the one last week where Ryan's taken part in his first HYROX. So we're going to go through a bit of a newbie's guide, potentially, and obviously reflect on your experience as well, Ryan. But before we do dive into it, I'd love to encourage people to subscribe, to forward this episode, or to forward the show on to anyone who may find it useful, or maybe wants to know more about HYROX or how to be a fit parent.
Absolutely. Again, exactly that. We want it to be a newbie's guide. It was obviously my first time doing it. I learned a lot, saw a lot of things. You read all the stuff online and you watch all the YouTube videos, but there's nothing that really preps you quite for it. And there's a few things I thought got missed, just some little details that for a newbie would be really useful to know. So I want to share that. Obviously, my own experience as well. I'm still bruised, battered and recovering, so I'm going to tell you all the ins and outs of what to expect. And it will be like a bit of a newbie's guide, basically. Yeah,
I think I was sceptical when I first arrived here today. I rang the doorbell and thought, how long is it going to take to get downstairs after his how sore is he? We'll see.
Very sore, I would say, afterwards, for sure. There's no doubt about that. But as the days have gone on, it's got a lot better. So, recovery's in full flow now.
Did the hip perform okay? I know that was my biggest concern for you.
With the hip. I mean, for anyone who hasn't been listening to previous episodes, that was the biggest concern going into this this HYROX. But, it was okay. Thank God it actually, turned out on the day to be all right. Once I got moving, I said to you before we started that just before the HYROX, on the morning of and the day before, it was not in a good spot. I was thinking, I might be in some trouble. I might be 10 minutes into the race and have to pull out, and it was my biggest fear. But once I got the gears turning, I'd done my first kilometre, done the ski erg, I kind of got a sense then that, it might be all right now.
Good.
Having not ran for 7-8 weeks leading up to HYROX, that was a whole different ball game once it got to post 5k, there was a few little niggles and tweaks, calves started cramping up and quads weren't great after a few of the exercises. But if you've not ran for so long, then you go and try and do an event like that, definitely it's expected, really, I guess.
Which it makes sense to probably start from the beginning, really, mate. Call it the night before. How were you feeling? What were your apprehensions? Were you thinking did you have everything you needed?
Yeah, I think it was really good. I thought I think the prep was good. I'm really happy that we decided to stay over the night before. For anyone who hasn't done that, I think if your HYROX event isn't near, if you don't live near the actual HYROX event, it definitely pays to stay over. Birmingham is only an hour and a half away from here, but the men's open is from 9 a.m. till 1:30 p.m. So if you're on at 9 a.m. sharp, doesn't leave you much time in the morning to get prepped, get sorted. You also don't find out your start time till a week before, so I guess you could book it within a week, but if you want to be cost effective, you're best off booking it a few months in advance like we did. And of course the drive down that day, you sat in the car for a prolonged period of time pre-race, plus as parents we all know that when you've got kids in tow, the timings go pretty much out the window.
Exactly.
So you've got to be really careful of that. Being able to wake up in the morning, be at a hotel that's near the event, actually use the hotel gym as well to get warmed up, have breakfast there. It all took away those just little stresses that could have potentially,
That's a good insight, to be fair. So you use the hotel gym to warm up?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's a warm-up section at the place, which we'll kind of discuss, but having a treadmill there just to kind of get the cog turning and just do, some steady walking, do some stretches. I got up, I'll be honest, I woke up twice the night before, because you know what, I woke up twice because I was thinking about the exercises. So I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm in wall balls. And so I woke up twice, but ended up probably only getting 5-6 hours sleep. But when I got up at 6 in the morning, I just got straight up, went down straight into the gym, started warming up. And I'm happy that was there. I wasn't worried about kind of packing, getting kids in the car, travelling. So I'm really happy with that. The next one we've got is in Manchester now. My mum's from Manchester, so what we're probably going to do is just stay in my mum's and drive over.
Nice.
But just even that, having people supporting you there is crucial, because you've got bags on you, you've got things that belongings that you need to look after. Even you're not actually technically allowed your phone on you, but hopefully no one from HYROX is listening. I actually kept my phone on me the whole way around, just put it in my pocket. But just little logistical things like that, where I don't have to worry about Harlow, Amy, my mum. I even worry about Amy because it's a big sporting event in a huge hall. There's a lot of people around. Amy's trying to watch me, she's trying to watch Harlow, having my mum there. as a bit of support was a really good thing. I thought, you know, it helped Amy out for sure. Good. Meant that I could worry a little bit less. But honestly, like the whole event is just really well organised. Like I can't stress how easy and simple the whole thing was. Just from getting there, you know, they're managing thousands of athletes and spectators, and from the moment you arrive, it's very, very seamless. I mean, they have events on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty much from 6:30 in the morning till 8 p.m. at night.
Wow.
So it's all day for the people that are kind of volunteering there, and they do it in different stages. So I think in the morning it is it's your doubles, it's your relays, it's things like that. Then it goes into like the men's that start at 9. Then it's the women's. Is it the women's afterwards? Oh, I think it's the mixed. No, it's the mixed. So it goes men's, mixed doubles, women's, and then all the pros. But the pros run at like 7 p.m. Yeah.
Wow.
For the last hour, it's all the pros.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
Did you stick around and watch any of that?
Did I? No, I was straight into like gourmet burger, having a burger and got off. But I was shot afterwards, yeah. And I mean, you only stay around really unless you're going to podium or something like that, which I was in no danger.
Not yet.
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
So we arrived actually on the Thursday, the day before. The HYROX event was on the Friday. And one thing that I thought was really helpful to avoid the queuing on the day, because you have to sign in and get all your bits and bobs, was on the Thursday, they actually offer an early sign-in.
Oh.
To do this, you have to head into the centre of Birmingham. You go to Sports Direct, and I did actually wonder why they don't just keep it all at NEC. So why do you go into the centre of Birmingham, which is a 15-minute train journey away, so go and get signed up? But when you get to Sports Direct, there's just like HYROX merch everywhere, and you realise, okay,
I see what's going on.
I get it now.
Clever.
And then, as you can see, hook, line, and sinker, they caught me on the merch. But what I thought was really nice is they do offer like a free, you know, personalisation service. So once you bought anything really, from like pants, tops, like tracksuits, they'll personalise it for you for free, which I thought was quite a nice touch.
Nice, that's good.
And to be fair, even that was really well organised. Like, as soon as we got to the front of Sports Direct, there was a guy there going, HYROX? And I was like, yeah. He goes, follow me. So I took us straight in, took us to the escalators. You go down the escalators, another lady meets you. She puts you in a queue, a very small queue. In fact, there was no one in the queue. It was just wait for another attendant to be free. You go to the attendant, she asks you kind of your name, your number, you show ID. So that's another thing, make sure you've got ID as well. Luckily, I took my wallet with me. But I can imagine a lot of people get there, and if you can't prove it's you, they won't let you sign in there.
I'd be that guy, because I literally just take my phone now, because you can just pay on phone. So that's it's good that you thought on.
Whenever I go anywhere, now even when I go to the shop, I don't take ID to get anything. I just Apple Pay, isn't it, basically?
Our ID and days are long gone, mate. Aren't they?
I wish they weren't, mate. I'd love to get ID checked. So you prove it's you. They then give you a little pack with your wristband in there, which allows you access to. It's actually upstairs. I probably should have brought it down, but it's like a little like lanyard that goes around your wrist. That allows you access to all the kind of areas inside the event that the kind of athletes can go to. You also get it's basically like a little electronic fob, and it's attached to some Velcro. This is to strap around your ankle, and it tracks your splits as you go around the track. So as you do each exercise and each run, it tells you your times for each one, which we'll obviously go into in a little bit more detail. A little piece of advice for this one as well, which I found really useful, is someone did tell me, I didn't actually put it on the day, but someone told me the day after, you don't want to get that too tight, because it's one of those lanyards where when you kind of, you know, there's two pieces of fabric, and you pull it up like that, like a toggle, and it doesn't come back again. So once you pull it too tight, it can't come back. Now, he said that the first thing he did when he put it on was put it right up to his wrist. And so it was tight, but it wasn't going to, wasn't cutting off circulation. Yeah. Once he was a ski erg, a sled pull, a sled push, and burpees in, everything expanded.
Just hand turn blue.
So he's running round the event with like his hand, like pins. He had to have pins and needles by the end of it in his hand. Because you can imagine the water balls at the end, like your wrist is like that, and you've got this lanyard there. Oh, wow. So massive advice for newbies: don't put that lanyard around your wrist too tight. The one on your ankle you can adjust because it's Velcro, but again, don't go too crazy with that either.
I thought the advice you were going to give were about like the ankle bracelet feeling like PTSD for some runners.
For some runners, for what?
Maybe they've had ankle bracelets on before. No judgment.
You know what I thought you were going to say PTSD from having a tag. I've never been on tag, by the way.
No, that's all right. We've clarified that.
So I guess it's down like then to the day itself. You know, you've got all signed in, everything's prepped and everything. Firstly, what I will say is I was way more nervous on the day than I thought I was going to be. Yeah, really nervous. I didn't feel it in myself, like, but I had 3 people come up to me and go, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "You look really on edge." I was like, "No, honestly, I'm fine." But thinking back, I was. I think what I was most nervous about was just not being able to do it. That was the big thing.
Were these people? Did they know you? Like, with the family?
Yeah, people who knew me.
Fair,
So, but that's probably even worse because they
know what you normally like,
and they're like, and they can see that I'm very stressed and on edge.
Because what you like when you're stressed and on edge, like colour drain from you, just go quiet.
I think my eyes go wide. I get a little bit like this. Like you can see it in my eyes. Like I'm a bit like Yeah, just a bit pent up, and 3 people commented on it, so I must have looked worried. They could also have been the drugs, by the way. I was heavily medicated, which, just coming on to that for a second, I had in my mind what I wanted to take in terms of drugs. I took well over double what I wanted to take. So I was, obviously I took the photographer down with me, Gennaro, who does a few of these events and has taken some photos before. On some of the photos he sent me, my eyes are like literally like this. Like I can barely even open them. Yeah, there's some bad looking photos of me mid-exercise because I was on all sorts. I was like on, prescription drugs essentially, which were anti-inflammatories, high levels of like codeine, which is obviously, what do they call it now? It's a derivative of morphine, that's right, yeah. So it's just heavily morphined up, which helped to a certain degree. I mean, it got me through it, but the caveat to that is, which I'll again come on to later, is like just felt bloated, really bloated me up, and nutrition didn't help with that. But I'm going to do that as a bit of a separate topic, really, because nutrition is something I've fucked up massively. Not gonna lie,
okay,
it wasn't good.
All right.
The place itself is brilliant. From the moment you walk in, there's an energy, there's a buzz, there's blaring music. You can hear everyone cheering each other on, like loved ones and stuff, which is great. And you can feel that kind of like heart rate building, and just that urge to get out there. You really feel that as soon as you walk into the building. I was actually advised not to get there too early because you can mentally burn out from just being in that environment for way too long.
Stimulation almost.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So we decided to go down for like an hour in the morning at around, I think we got there around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And we just check the place out because we want to know logistically where like the spectators are going to be, how we get into the event, where's the start line, where's the warm-up section. So we spent an hour just walking around, kind of getting used to where everything was. And then we left, got some food, and then we got back in there about 90 minutes before our race. We went straight to the warm-up area where you can get a feel for things like the sled pull, the sled push. You can jump on a treadmill, start building your heart rate up. And then you can do like some walking lunges. There's a big stretching area. There's even like a deep heat stand. So they've got a bit of an affiliation with deep heat now.
Yeah, I spied this.
And I made such a big mistake because obviously half an hour before the race, the drugs are kind of kicking in, but not amazingly. I've still got this little tweak with my hip, and I'm thinking, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to whack loads of deep heat on. Now, there was 2 things. They had like loads of rolls out there where you can apply it yourself, or you can wait for a massage. And I was only about 20 minutes by this point away, and there was some guy getting a massage, a guy in front of him, and then me. And I thought, it's just too long. I can't. Yeah. I'm not going to wait. So I'm also not sure how much I want a guy rubbing up there like a few minutes before. So I thought, just give me one of them sticks.
Yeah.
Jammed it down my pants, started rubbing my hip, went down a little bit into my groin, but probably went too far down, clipped the bottom of my ball sack, and basically done what every lad does when they're playing football to stitch their mate up. You put DP in his jockstrap. But I basically did it to myself. So I'm there, and I don't know, I haven't used deep heat for many, many years, and it must be more potent than the previous formulas, because this was burning. I mean, I'm talking, my ball sack was on fire, mate.
Sensitive area, mate.
Fire. Which kind of, to be fair, did distract me from my hip for a short period of time. But I'm stood there in the starting pen, balls absolutely on fire, which was quite funny.
Sounds like you tried to like light a fire up your arse. To just let you go faster.
Maybe. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but it definitely happened.
Fair.
So then once you've kind of like got yourself sorted from the warm-up area and you've done all the bits you want to do, you then head over to the starting pen, which is essentially like a little bit of a tent. It's sponsored by Red Bull. It has screens inside the tent, and it's all like cool blue colours. What I'll probably do actually at some point is when we put this back on the YouTube, I'll put some videos and images up of me in kind of the certain areas so you get a feel for it. But in the tent is like all the kind of screens, so you get in there about 10 minutes before, But because like the adrenaline's going in, you know, and the nerves are there, it just feels like the longest period of time ever, because you know it's coming now. They do show you like motivational videos to really get you hyped, and yeah, it's just a bit of a strange limbo period where you're like, right, this is it now, and you start thinking about all the prep, you start thinking about all the things you've done in the last 6 months to get to this stage, and the nerves are like, yeah, it's massively building by this point. Once that timer hits 0, though, so it kind of counts down from like 30 seconds, it shows it on the screen. You then basically filter out onto the track, everyone goes. Similar to the way like a car would do around a track, is like a filtration system, so you kind of join the main track. And then really it's kind of like all down to you. It's that weird moment where it's like, right, this is it now. You know, we're on the course, we're going for it. Generally everyone sets off a bit too quick because of like the adrenaline and the videos, and they've all been hyped up in that kind of starting pen. You'll also get a lot of decent runners in your wave, so I think people try to keep up with them as they go out onto the track, because you're going to get some lads who are just great runners, and you know, you don't want to be like the last one in the pack. But I wasn't really too bothered, because I knew that I had to ease my hip on, which did, I think, help me out in the end, because it meant that I didn't go off like a lightning bolt and gas out too quickly. But I think then it's kind of into the races and the exercise and events themselves. I was thinking about maybe going through each individual exercise, because there's 100%. Some that like I thought I did pretty well in, some that I definitely messed up in, so maybe going through each one by one.
Let's do it. Do it in order.
We'll do it in order. Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense.
Let's start with the running, since it's first. It's obviously the first thing you do. So the run itself wasn't too bad. It does get progressively harder as you go through each exercise. I would say for me the killers were post burpees and post lunges. My legs were cramping up during the lunges, like especially my quads. So once that's the case and you've then got to go and do a kilometre, it does make it pretty tricky, but that's where obviously you compromise running and your training there kicks in. I think the secret, if I'm being honest with running, is just to not stop. It's so tempting, especially in what they call the rock zones. So there's a period in between leaving the track and then entering the area for your exercise that they call the rock zone. And this is a really tempting area to start walking in. I would definitely recommend, even if it's only a very, very light jog, just keep moving, because you'll waste a lot of time there. I think once you get your splits, so obviously the fob's tracking all your different metrics, it'll tell you how long you've spent in that zone. Right. Now mine was way higher than I thought it was. It was like, what was it now? I think it was 7 minutes I spent in the rock zones.
Wow. Is that added to your time as well?
Yeah.
Right. So it's total time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
it all counts. Right. And now I was jogging pretty much most of the exercise, but I still spent 7 minutes in the rock zones, which is mad. I did, to be fair, hands up, I did get, I think, 4 or 5 different cups. Now the cups are literally miniature shots. You don't get a lot in there. But there was a few times my mouth was so dry I just had to kind of stop for a second and grab one. So I think that's probably where I lost a bit of time. But it wasn't like me stopping. I was grabbing it as I was running and still, getting it down my neck.
From running races I've done in the past, that's honestly one of the hardest bits for me. Like grabbing stuff on the go. I just find that so difficult. Yeah,
it is. But you just got to do it though. I mean, it is very tempting when you kind of absolutely shot to stop and have a second at the table and start chatting to the lady. But you just can't. It's
gotta go.
Time doesn't stop for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably my biggest advice to running. Just don't stop in the rock zones. Just keep some level of steady running going. And even if you get back out onto the track and you feel absolutely wiped out, you do see a few people on the outside just walking to kind of catch the heart rate. Just go at a really slow walk if you can. We'll come on to heart rates in a second, but it was, from a metrics point of view, it was the hardest I have ever pushed myself in all like the kind of training sessions I've done for this. So the first one is ski erg. Pretty straightforward. You the timer actually for the kind of, so once you enter the kind of ski erg area. The timer starts. Now it starts from the moment you enter the area, not from the time you start actually skiing. Yep. So this is something really important to remember. Like if you enter the exercise area, you have to get onto that kit and start moving as quick as you can, because it all adds up. Yep. So some people again might run for the rock zones, but as soon as they get into the area, they'll walk to the piece of machinery. Again, just keep running as much as you can. It's pretty straightforward. There's not much to a skier. You grip and rip basically. With it being the first exercise, you're still pretty fresh. There's nothing too crazy in terms of exhaustion at this point. Not unless you've absolutely gone beans on the first 1K. You then leave there, you're back into your next run, and the second exercise is a sled push. This is the one that probably most people are a bit nervous about.
Yeah.
One thing that I got told was you never know how the carpet is. So when they lay the kind of Astro at every single event, it's always going to be different, isn't it, based on like the surface underneath.
Yeah.
I think they try and use like similar boards and stuff, but there's definitely a little bit of drag. So when we went to the warm-up section, and you can have a go on it, you can see the carpet bunching a little bit before the sled as you drive it down the AstroTurf. So there was a bit of that, and it did feel probably a little bit tougher than what I've been doing in training.
'Cause what weight is this?
150 kilos.
150 kilos.
152, 3, I think, something like that. So that's something to bear in mind. There's different techniques for it. Won't go over too many details about things, but this is just kind of to give you some warning.
Because I've seen pictures of you like chest into it, arms straight, which...
So in my training, all the way up to until about a month out from the event, I'd always done it where you grab the sled arm's length on the poles and you push with it arm's length. That's what I'd always done. And I hadn't struggled with it. I felt like I was pretty good doing that, but it always burned my quads more. And then I just, for whatever reason, like a month out, we started optimising a few other things with like the rower and the ski erg, like messing around with the damper settings basically. And then I went through all the individual exercises and I said, right, how can I get better at each one? So I started trying some different techniques, and the sled push, I chose to basically have the arms of the sled resting against kind of like my shoulders and my arms kind of travelling down. So you're not actually gripping it with your hands, it's resting against your body. My God, was that so much easier on my legs.
I can imagine even your arms just like having removing a bit of tension from them. Because I've always thought that whenever you've got like hands in line with your shoulders, arms straight, you've so much tension going through your shoulders, and you've got rowing to do, you've got wall balls still to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of what's called energy leakage, which is where there's a lot of moving around, like your arms. No matter how solid you are on your shoulders, there's going to be a little bit of instability there, and that energy leakage is not great when it comes to driving it forwards as fast, should I say, and efficiently as possible. So the technique I kind of used in the event was much, much better. It really is. There's no moving around. It's just all drive from the legs, and I found that because I was holding it kind of quite high up, instead of being more horizontal as I was pushing that sled, I ended up actually being a bit more like a 45-degree angle, which meant my quads weren't hurting as much. I could get more hamstring, glute drive, which was, again, for me, two of my more powerful muscles rather than my quads. So that tweaking technique there made a huge difference on the day. It really did.
Energy leakage screams of Mick Blythe as well. I'm pretty sure Mick taught me energy leakage.
Exactly, yeah. That's his.
Credit to you, Mick.
His phrase there for sure. And he did actually tell me a few times maybe you should change it. I was like, no, I'm fine, because my shoulders didn't get sore. Like it was fine. It was my legs, but it was just incredibly easier once I changed that technique. So
good man.
Yeah, good tip there.
Good.
Back out onto the run again after your sled push. This is quite a tricky one because obviously your legs are burning now. You're feeling that a little bit. Heart rate as well. It's a funny one, the sled push, because it's not an exercise. Like with most exercises, as soon as you stop doing the exercise, your heart rate starts to settle.
Yeah.
I always found with a sled push, it's a funny one where even 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds after you've finished, your heart rate is still high. It's still almost sometimes getting higher. And I've never sussed out why that is.
I think it's because you're low. Like your body's so low that when you stand up, it could be something to do with like blood pooling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So obviously your blood's trying to get back up to your brain and that sort of stuff. That'd be my guess.
I've always found that. So you go out for the sled push and your heart rate's continuing to kind of build or stay where it is. And then you've got to go back into your 1K runs. That was a tricky one to time and manage from a heart rate point of view. And then, but actually my second run, which was after the ski erg, was my fastest. Yep. So I got 4 minutes 17 on that kilometre, which I was pretty happy with nice. a relatively dodgy hip. That was my best one, and then everything after that kind of got a little bit like slower basically. I think my slowest one was about 5:30. And that was either after the burpees or lunges, which was particularly tough. Sled pull, this is the one that I royally messed up. This is the one that I completely fucked up. So, similar to the sled push, which I completely forgot, it's the same distance. You have a 25 metres. Oh no, it's 12.5 metres.
Yeah.
And you go there and back twice.
Okay.
So it's 50 metres total.
Right.
Now, I did it on the sled push, don't know why. And the sled pull is exactly the same, but for some reason the sled pull, I did there and back and then ran off. And the guy was like, bloody hell, that was quick. Have you done 2. I said, no, I've only done 1. He goes, well, if you cross this line, you get basically marked down, because if you get any of them wrong and you don't do enough of them, or you do too many laps or something, you get a penalty. So I would have got a penalty if I'd gone past him. He said, get back there and finish it off, mate, unless you want a penalty.
What's the penalty? Is it a time?
Yeah, it's a time penalty. Yeah. So I think if you do not enough laps, you get a 5 minute, or is it 3 minute? I think it's 3 minute time penalty. So it pays to, like, that's another thing with the running. You have to make sure you get counting the laps correctly as well, because the amount of people that mess up and don't do enough laps is phenomenal.
Many people think that when you go to PT school, Ryan, that they say, can you count to 10? And they just say, forget it. Right, just forget how to count. My clients will regularly tell me, you can't count, Brad. So I'd be screwed on that. Just counting laps, I'd be like, no.
I always say to my clients, there's only one number that matters, though, and it's the one that I'm saying. So whether I'm right or I'm wrong, there's only one number that matters. So yeah, make sure you get your laps right on the thing. And if you've got to watch, what you can do is you can start your watch as you run round, so you've got an idea. If you're coming in at like 2:30, you know you've got it wrong. Whereas if you're coming in at about 5 minutes, that's obviously if you kilometre times around 5 minutes, you know you're on point. So having a time, starting time as you go for your laps, quite a good little trick there.
It's a good show.
And then, so said pull, messed it up, only did once there and back, got sent back, probably lost, a minute, 90 seconds just doing that, because you've got to then set again, work out where you are. So that was the one that I really messed up and could have gained some time on. Everything after that was pretty much okay. I don't think I kind of messed up anything else. There was particularly tough ones. The one after that is burpee broad jumps. I'm generally okay at burpees. I know it's a lot of people's most hated ones, but I think it's 100. Is it 80? No, it's 80 meters of burpee broad jumps. So I think the first 40 meters I pretty much did non-stop right to the end, and then I really gassed out. I'd take a bit of time, and then I would break it down into like 5. So I'd do 5 burpees, have a pause, 5 burpees, have a pause, which is tough because it seems to go on forever. But the one person I remember shouting me on during that was actually Gennaro, who was the photographer. I could hear him going, come on mate, you can do it, nice. Get digging, which I thought was quite nice. So that really helped. Back out for your run after the burpees, you then into your row, 1 kilometre row. This is a really tough one because in training, I was only ever really doing like either the first half of a HYROX or a second half of a HYROX. And if you ever do the second half of a HYROX, well, the row is like you're starting one, you start an exercise basically. So I was always doing it relatively fresh. But God, by that point, you're 4 kilometres in, you're 4 exercises in, and you're going into your run and you're pretty sharp. You're 5 kilometres in by that point. So you just can't really keep your same pace. I think I got 4 minutes 30 on total time from entering into the row to leaving the row. Now, my usual 1K time, I can do probably 3 minutes 15 a kilometre, which I think is relatively respectable. Really, but it's just the fact that I couldn't hit my usual pace and time. And it's a funny one, the row, actually, because of all the ones where you can just back off a little bit and not sacrifice time, it's actually the row. Number one, technique on the row is really important. If you are going to do a HYROX, I would definitely get onto like some YouTube videos or get someone who knows how to row to teach you a really good technique, because again it's efficiency of movement. There's a lot of people who give it 100% all out on the rower but actually don't get those meters moving quickly. There's a lot of people who look very smooth and are not expending a lot of energy but are really getting the most out of the machine. So I definitely try and get your technique nailed down on the row.
Did you check any YouTube videos out yourself for like technique, or were it very much Mick just sort of saying, reinforcing them cues from Mick?
It's funny actually, I think Mick's got a rower at his, but it's not like your Concept 2 start one. I've had a Concept 2 for many, many years, and when I actually got it, fortunately enough at the time, I was coaching a guy who used to row professionally in New Zealand. So I had him show me exactly how to do it, and I've always remembered that technique ever since. I've also got Mark, who, again, I'll give him a massive mention. So Mark, I messaged him during the week or a few weeks before saying, do you want to come down? He was like, I'm not sure I can make it. The morning of HYROX, Mark turns up. He's there.
Good lad.
I know. I was really shocked. I heard his voice. I was like, "That's Mark." I turned around and there he is. So one of my clients out of the blue just came down, a bit unexpected, to come and watch me. So that was really nice. But he's big on his rowing. Absolutely loves all the kind of ins and outs of technique and reinforcing that. So having coached him for many years has really kind of again just made me understand technique better. So I actually think, weirdly, like even when me and Mick were training together, Mick was always like, you know how to row, you do it really well, just trust your technique, basically. So getting off the rower, again, that's quite a tricky one because, you know, it is really taxing. You're back into your next run. And then what's after that? So after that, it's the farmer's carry. It's 200 metres of farmer's carry. So you do 50 metres there and back.
At what weight? Is it 30, 32?
Is it 200 metres? I can't remember now. No, I think it is. I think it's 200 metres of yes. Yeah, so the men's open is 24 kilos in each hand, 2 kettlebells. Now the nice thing about this, which I wasn't doing in training, is they put a huge bucket of chalk next to the kettlebells.
Okay.
Which made such a big difference. I'm not gonna lie. And there's actually, I think, if I remember right, I think there's a little bit of grip. Now, you know, some kettlebells, it's just completely smooth.
Yep.
I think these had like a little bit of knurling on the top of it, which also helps. So it was difficult. It was hard because of where it was in the event, right? Obviously towards the end, but it felt easier on the grip because I had the chalk, which I've not used before, had the knurling, and that actually made it just feel that little bit easier. Which, you know, at that point in the workout, anything that makes it feel slightly easier on an exercise is welcome.
I suppose from like an health and safety point of view as well, if you've got sweaty bodies around and you're trying to hold on to stuff, that, you know, they've got to, of course, think with that as well, and think, well, how can we keep people safe? Number one, because we don't want them dropping weights on their toes.
Great point, actually.
Yeah.
And also like speed as well, because if people just genuinely can't hold it, like it just slows everything up.
Exactly.
But no, I'd say what it actually gives you, I've not got the breakdown here, but
is it the splits? So
it gives you the splits across all your exercises, but it also gives you positioning of where you were in rank for everyone else.
And is that actually in the pack? Because I've seen someone else share theirs about the splits that they've got. Is that the split of the pack that you come out with, or is that for the day?
That's it's for, so you get your split, and then it ranks you where you were based on like, I'm not sure what I think it's from like overall, like all men's or women's.
Cool.
And my best one was sled push. I got 46,
nice,
which I thought was pretty good. I actually got 55 overall in my age category. So the 30 to 35, which I think is probably one of the more competitive like age groups, I got 55th, which I thought was pretty good. I was really happy with that. And I got 218, 17, something like that overall.
Nice.
For all men, all women, all age categories. So, you know, for my first showing, I was pretty happy with that. And if anyone doesn't know, by the way, I got 1 hour 17 overall on my time, which I was really happy with. My goal was 1 hour 15.
Yeah.
But I think with all the kind of things that had gone on with the hip, I was more than happy with that. Yeah, I'd definitely take that for sure.
Yeah, and I had a funny feeling that when we sat down to do this like post-mortem, that'd be one of the first things that you'd say, like, where could I have made up that 2 minutes, that 2.5 minutes? And I think you've highlighted that so far, which I think it's important to not beat yourself up and think it were a tough thing, but, you know, it's the first time doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I have to keep reminding myself of that. And I'm super happy. There's no doubt about that for sure. I know where I can be better. We've actually got another one booked in Manchester in 3 months' time. So, we'll be back, and there's a lot of things to work on.
Amazing. So I think we've got up to farmers carries.
Farmers carries, yeah. So again, pretty much breeze through those. I was able to get, sometimes people will walk a little bit if they're quite gassed, but I was able to kind of just get a steady jog all the way through the 200 metres. Then it's back out. That wasn't too bad. And the post farmers carry run was probably the nicest of the lot in the latter half, because your legs are pretty fresh now. You just had your grip, and what's surprisingly taxing is like your traps. You know, because there's so much weight on those traps, and the arms are being pulled down. It's a bit like if you've ever grabbed some really heavy shopping bags from the car and brought them back inside. As soon as you put them down, you get this little burning sensation around your traps. I definitely felt that for the first kind of like quarter of a kilometre as I got back out there. Then you're into your last two exercises, which is walking lunges and wall balls. I'm probably the good thing the wall balls are saved till last, because that's another one where it broke me. Walking lunges was the first one. So you basically have a 20 kilo bag on your back, and you do 80 metres of walking lunges. This is particularly difficult because by this point, heart rate's gone, legs are shot. This is the first time I've ever done walking lunges, and my quads have actually started cramping as well. I got really bad cramp, and it was just before the walking lunges that I saw Dan on the track. So I hadn't seen him because he'd gone out half an hour before me, and I thought at some point there'd be a crossover. Just as I was heading back into the walking lunges, I saw Dan, and he looked a bit worse for wear. I tapped him on the back and said, "Yes, mate, come on." And he just looked at me and went, "My legs have gone, mate." So I felt his pain there. But then as I walked in, He said my legs have gone. It was the walking lunges that did it. So I went back into the kind of rock zone, headed up to the walking lunges, thinking,
thanks mate.
Yeah, I know what's to come now. And I thought, no, I'll be okay. I'll be all right. So I headed off onto my walking lunges. Did pretty well. Managed to keep a nice steady pace. Struggled a little bit as I got to the turning point, and as I kind of turned and I stopped, that's when I felt it straight away. I just felt that really, that kind of at the top of your quads, so you get that cramping feeling, where you feel like you're almost, it's like you know, a bit like when your hamstrings cramp and you need to stretch it out. I felt like I need to like grab my ankle and like pull my leg up and stretch my quads off, but you can't, because actually one of the rules is if you put the bag down, it's a time penalty.
Wow.
So if you put the kettlebells down and the farmers carry, there's no repercussions. The only one where you get a time penalty, if you put the kind of equipment down, is on the walking lunges. So that's again something to bear in mind. Once that bag's on your back, it stays in your back until you've done that 80 metres.
Wow.
I got a nice kind of steady rhythm going on the way down towards the first 40, because they tend to like double back on themselves, a lot of these exercises. So the first 40 metres is kind of down, you double back and then come back again. First 40 metres was okay, got a nice steady rhythm to it. On the way back, it was kind of like one rep, feet together, another rep, feet together, another rep, feet together. That's kind of how I did it, but I managed to keep that technique for the full 40 metres going back, which I thought was pretty good. And again, wasn't by any means amazingly quick in terms of the times, but I think it was like top 200, so I was pretty happy with that.
The 40 metres going, were you just like stepping through?
Stepping through as you normally would, like on a kind of quite confident, normal walking lunge. And then that's the one where you put the bag down and you go, well, there's no way I can run now because my legs are completely bollocksed. It's the first one where you realise, oh, okay, this is going to be very interesting on this run.
It's going to be shaky, this.
Yeah. So the bag went down, back out onto the track. And the first it's funny because I remember doing this a few times in training, mainly after like the sled push, and I just started running and I'd look like I'd like shit myself or I was disabled or something, and Mick could just start laughing at me. So I almost like could just see an imaginary Mick in the kind of like crowd laughing at me.
Just arms crossed, pushing his biceps up, just having a little laugh.
Absolutely, having a little chuckle to himself.
Bless him.
As I set back off for this run, then I was just on my legs. It took me probably like, because you do 2 laps, but it took me 1 full lap to really kind of find my stride again.
Wow. And
you feel like a right donut because you go past because all the crowds are around the track, and you got some people who are fresh and are like running past you, and you're like, I've just done what you want to just tell people I've just done walking lunges. I promise you, I'm not this slow. Back out onto the track, did the kind of. That's basically the final 1K, isn't it? So you do your last 1K between the walking lunges, and then your final exercise of the day is your wall balls. Now,
how many is this, by the way? Is it 100?
100 wall balls with a 6 kilo ball. Yeah. So this is the one where even in training, I'd hate this exercise. Couldn't stand it. It's just disgusting, mate. Like it's the best way to kind of replicate this is if you do like a squat thrust with like some dumbbells or a barbell. You only have to do like 10 reps and your heart rate's jumping out your chest. Yeah. And even though a barbell might weigh more, and this is only a 6 kg ball, there's an explosive element because you have to come out, throw the ball up, hit a target over your head, catch it, back into your next one. So it is particularly brutal, this one. But what I will say is, in training, I built it up to maybe around 50 to 60 reps in a row before I had to take a rest. And then what I'd do is I'd probably break it into 3 sets. So I'd do like 50 to 60, then I'd do maybe like another 30, and then finish with like another 10, 20.
Have you got someone with you at this point, I'm guessing, just keeping a little score? Or
no, I'd count my reps. Mick could always let me count my reps in sessions, and I'd do the same away from here. And then what we do after that is obviously you're dead, you're on the floor, you kind of assess it. But in the first few times I tried this exercise, I was only getting 20, 30, which was a bit pathetic. However, once you've done your 8 kilometres, all your other 7 exercises, I then headed into this one, and do you know what mentally broke me on this more than anything else? All the way around for the whole workout, I had no idea where my time was. I had no idea.
Wow, okay.
No idea what was on.
Could you see your time at this point?
So basically, I'd missed it on every single lap I'd done around the track. But as you head back into kind of where the exercises are off the track, there's a timer. It's not a timer, but like an actual time. So it tells you the time. Now my wave was at 12:30, as I headed back in for the wall balls, I noticed this time. I was like, oh, what's that time? It says 1:41. So I knew I'd been training for 1 hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah.
And that broke me because I knew how fucked I was, and I knew I wanted to get under an hour and 15. And I headed in there knowing there's no way I'm going to do it in under 1 hour 15 now, because I've only got 4 minutes to do this. So that was just a real like, and I had on the first lot of wall balls, which I normally get quite a few on, I only got 30 reps. And I was really disappointed. And I know it's because my head had gone a little bit. Then I basically did 30 reps, and I did like 3 lots of 20, and then finished with a 10. So I was a bit gutted, but I was broken. I was. It's funny because when I finished, I met also my family, went for some food afterwards, and Amy said it was funny watching your mum. She said, because there was a few exercises, and the wall ball's been the main one where she had to walk off because she couldn't watch me.
Oh, just
yeah. Because I was it's very clear how much pain you're in at that point. And I was like, in between like rounds of doing these wall balls, I was just doubled over, like with that look in your eyes of like, I want this to be over now. And I knew that I wanted to get. I think towards the back end of the wall balls, last 50, I knew that, right, come on, put your head together, get through it, get an half decent time, and crack on now. But yeah, I think it was tough for my mum to watch as well, because you're pushing it to the limit. And I think the other one she didn't like watching was the burpees, because when you finish your burpees, you are just doubled over. I think it was the fact that I was just like, I looked in pain when I was doubled over, on hands on knees, head down. I
feel like I've just had like a glimpse into the future. If ever Ted does anything, I'm like, oh, this is going to be horrible to watch. You know that they're suffering. Like,
it's difficult as a parent, isn't it, to watch like and you don't really get it until you've got kids and they go for a bit of pain. But I did say to Mum, like, Mum, I'm choosing to do this. Like, I'm not. It's not okay. It's being done to me. I'm choosing to push it to this level. I could have easily taken a lot longer. And I mean, most people, to keep it under like an hour and 30, I think is pretty good. So I could have easily have got another 10 minutes onto my time, had more rest, gone a bit of a leisurely pace. But I chose to push the boundaries. I chose to give it 110%. And I honestly, like, hand on heart, I left that arena and that event knowing I'd given everything.
Good.
I couldn't have given anything else, and I know that for sure. I messed up and could have got some times based on efficiency, but in terms of output, there's no way. So and that was my only mission, I think, really, was just to know that I could give it 100%, and I left there doing that for sure.
I had a good look at like the averages and like, okay, what's the average sort of men's finish time, and it is that an hour and a half period. So you're in that well above average category, mate, which is
the elites get like around an hour, don't they? And ultra elites like slightly less. The average person, when they first do the HYROX, will get like, hopefully you're aiming to get maybe around an hour and a half. My thinking was, can I just get in between that? Can I just on my first go get around the hour and 15 mark? And look, I wasn't too far off, like I said. So I gave it everything, happy with the time, overcame a few kind of physical battles along the way, and thought I gave it a pretty good showing.
Amazing. I did see a lovely picture of you, Harlow, just having a nice little embrace towards the end. That nice and emotional at that time, where you were just like, I just need a cuddle now.
It was. I'll tell you the funny thing when I actually finished. So it kind of leads me on to the bit of the nutrition stuff, which I'll talk about how I royally messed that up. But I'd had a lot of caffeine beforehand. And I think that, combined with the nerves and combined with all this prescription medication, just meant that in the half an hour before starting the event, so the half an hour between like taking those things and starting the event, I must have had about 8 pisses. I was back and forth from the toilet constantly. Wow. In the first kind of half of the race, I didn't really feel it much. I felt like I got it all out. In the last half of the race, I've never needed a wee so bad.
Really?
Yeah, it was terrible. Even to the point like when I went out like my 5th kilometre, I was looking on the side thinking like, how much time will it take if I just take a piss in those boxes? Because there was like little boxes or like bins, should I say, on the side where you can, I think anyone chunders, or you want to get rid of like, bottles and things like that, energy gels. But yeah, so when I finished the event, we go over the finish line, collapsed onto the floor, but I very quickly realised I still really, really need a piss.
Perfect.
So one thing I missed out on is, when everyone finishes and they get a little picture with their time and their name, So you do that. The way you do that is there's a little kind of like station near the finish line where you go and scan your fob that's on your ankle. It'll pull up your time and you can get a picture with it. I needed a wee so bad that I was like, I need to get out. I need to get out. I didn't even know it was there. So I just got rid of my fob, gave it to the guy, went out, went to the toilet. And as I was leaving as well, like, my friends and family were like, congratulations. I was like, don't talk to me, I need a wee, I really need a wee. So I went for a wee, came back, and then that's when I realised, like, I said to the guy, can I go in and get a picture? He goes, oh, you need your fob. And by this point, he had a tray of about 100 fobs in front of him. And he went, do you know which one's yours? I went, no. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, mate, you can't do it then. So I was a bit good about that, but I got a picture of the screen which had my name on it, which is alright. So yeah, that's all definitely. You know, for newbies, definitely don't have too much caffeine half an hour before. If you're going to do it, I would probably say like 90 minutes before, get it all out of your system. But it also meant as well, I felt really bloated. Like some of the photos Gennaro sent me, like I looked like I hadn't dieted at all, which I was a bit good about. My body fat levels looked higher than they actually were. I mean, I dieted down to about 14% before the event, which is not super lean. There's some body fat on there. But I probably look more around 20 on from the photos, just because of the water retention, the caffeine, I think the medication. There were so many things that meant that I just didn't look as good as I wanted to on the day, which is not something to be too concerned about. But I did diet for it. I did want to look good while I was doing it. So
I mean, I won't beat yourself up because I've had a fair few comments today. People saying Ryan made me very happy when I opened up Instagram this morning. I've seen his topless pictures, sled pulling. It's like, yeah, he looked good. He looked good. I can confirm, mate. There was some.
Thank you.
He did well there, Gennaro.
Yeah, you have to pass on the thanks there. But yeah, I don't know. I think I would have wanted to look better, but my main goal was just get so medicated that I don't feel the hip, and if it means coming in the cost of not looking as good, then yeah, so be it.
What has been the cost post couple of days? We're recording this on a Monday. Post you doing it on Friday. What's it been like the past few days?
Tired. I told you when you came here today, I've just slept like 11 hours last night. I was absolutely shattered, but I feel pretty fresh today. I feel fine. Good. Hips been agony the last few days, been walking around like a cripple, but this is the first morning I've woke up and it's started to feel a bit better. I had a few painkillers this morning. Quads are in absolute pieces. Dan messaged me the day after as well and said, are your quads absolutely shut? I was like, yep. So be prepared for that if you're a newbie. There's going to be a lot of soreness for sure, fatigue. You have to kind of, potentially eat more calories over the weekend, which I absolutely have done. We actually went to, Cosmo in town, the buffet. I always pie that off and I always say to Amy, whenever I'm dieting or I'm looking to stay in shape, I'm like, I can't be going to all you can eat buffets. But over the weekend we went there, treated her, and I don't know why she likes. I think because there's so much Chinese option. She loves a good Chinese.
There's a lot of options. What's your tactic when you go there? Are you like full English, Chinese, Japanese, whatever? Just
my play-by-play is usually starter of sushi, plate full of sushi.
Just do like teppanyaki, like on the grill, where you can sort of.
I don't know, actually.
Ask the guys or the girls
I didn't see that, but they might do. I can't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I recommend it if it's still there. It's mega.
Yeah, they make stuff. I then go like a bit of Chinese, like duck rolls, things like that. Maybe on little duck pancakes. A bit of Chinese. I don't really go like because they've got like spag bowls and pies and stuff like that. But I'm not really down for that at a buffet. I'd rather have like. They had like a beef brisket. Yeah, that was quite nice. I do. It is good sometimes to pick out in it, and I felt it was guilt free because I knew I'd worked hard on the Friday, so just was all right.
Stick your face under the chocolate fondant fountain.
Yeah, and I think I've gained about 2 kilos since Friday, so it's not been too bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Back on it today.
Which I'm glad you said that as well, because it's guilt free. Like you can go in, you can go and enjoy it. You can eat as well. Like. Why not? But what better way to celebrate?
Exactly.
But,
yeah. But no nutrition. I know that the other thing is this will make you laugh. So I messed up my nutrition on the day because I knew they had a breakfast in the morning at the hotel. So I had like my usual was like 5 eggs, a little bit of fruit, some toast. And then I didn't really think about what I was going to do after that. I just assumed there'd be some food places there and relatively healthy food places because it's a fitness event. But it was just like the food places the NEC had, which is all like fast food stuff. So the best of a bad bunch was Starbucks. And then I ended up getting like a chicken, bacon and cheese panini, which in itself isn't phenomenal. A lot of fats in there, a lot of salts, which might, again, not have helped water retention. But then there wasn't really good snacks, like they're all cakes and stuff like that. So, do you know what a Strupen waffle is?
Strupen waffle?
A Strupen waffle.
Is it Dutch? I feel like
It's Dutch.
Yeah,
it's Dutch.
yeah.
It's those little Dutch circular
Yes.
waffle things with like caramel in the middle.
The only reason I know is I've got a client, Matthias, who's Dutch, and we're always talking about these.
Yeah. Well, the first time I tried them was in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So I've always liked them, and it was one thing I wanted was something that was high calorie but not dense and too heavy.
Yeah.
So there was a pack, but there was 20 in a pack. Now,
Okay.
they weren't massive ones. They weren't that huge. They were only like, if I cut my kind of like index finger and my thumb together, they were size of that basically. But there was 20 of them, and I ate all 20.
You were nervous,
pre-race. I was nervous. I was also really hungry, so I got to like, I'd had my breakfast at like 8 in the morning, and then by the time I got to like 12 o'clock, 11:30 before my event, I was starving. I was so hungry. So I got this panini, battered these Stroop waffles, and then went on my way. Now, the good thing was that they didn't really have too much of an effect in terms of like performance. I think because they were so high sugar, I didn't feel faint or the sickness or the usual stuff you get from, not being fueled enough. They fueled me in the right way. But I don't think they made me look good. I think that's another reason why I looked a little bit, on the podgier side.
Did you never do the northern working class thing of just like scooping loads of breakfast stuff into your bag? Like
Amy did.
some weird.
Amy did it for Harlow.
Yeah.
But I probably should have done something similar maybe for the event.
You paid for it, mate.
Yeah, true.
It's
True.
Fill your boots, fill your bag.
Our money's worth.
Fill your bag. But no, it's. Did you remember when Usain Bolt broke? I think he broke the 100-meter world record the first time. I think you're in Beijing, and he says, I've just been eating chicken nuggets because it just settles easy on my stomach, and sales of chicken nuggets absolutely skyrocketed.
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
I imagine it's going to do the same for you, mate.
Stroop and waffles. I don't
yeah.
think I've got the same influence. I don't think Starbucks going to start Stroop and waffles.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to clip
Based
this
on
up.
my suggestion.
We're going to try and clip this up and be like Ryan fueled by Stroop and waffles.
I'll be honest, they fueled me really well.
Yeah.
I felt great. Didn't feel too heavy in the stomach. High calorie, low volume. But they might bloat you up a little bit, which I think they did. So yeah, definitely that nutrition was a bit of a write-off, really. But yeah, I think apart from that, everything went pretty well. Fueled okay in terms of fluids, and I wish I'd kind of maybe timed my caffeine a little bit earlier. But again, it's all a learning experience, isn't it? It's all just, you do what's right for you on the day. I did have an energy gel, but I think I had also that too late. So Dan gave me one of his energy gels, which I wasn't planning on doing because it's only like, an hour and whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I just thought I should be okay. And then I thought I'll have one in my pocket just in case. And then I had one just after the walking lunges. So I only had 1K and the wall balls to go. So what's that like?
Probably had that a bit too late.
10, 15, 20 minutes worth. It takes that time to kick in, really. So I probably didn't get the maximum benefit from it. So I wish I'd had that maybe halfway as opposed to then. But aside from that, I think it went okay. Like I said, I think I pushed through. I think got an relatively okay time.
Yeah. I mean, you've definitely inspired me, mate, people who I know, and yeah, I mean, to the point where I said to you earlier, I were on the laptop last night trying to sort my emails out. And I'm like, I'm getting stressed out with this. Let's have a look on HYROX website and just see where the nearest things are. Mate, there's all sorts on there. Like, it looks amazing. It looks really well organised and well. There's a big buzz around it, which it gets you thinking. I'm like,
could I give it a go?
Yeah.
Would you do it?
Looks good. I think I would, yeah. Yeah, I think I would. After hearing your experience and like hyping it up last week, I'm always hesitant about these things because it was just I always think that sounds solid, but what's it going to feel like? That, as you were describing it, I think you've done an amazing job at like the play-by-play, like the preparation. I think I felt the nerves as you were talking about it, like in the tent, and then you head out. Like I said, like you said last week, a lot of people never get that. They never get people cheering for him. They never get that feeling, that like anticipation. So, yeah, and I think I've missed that. I'm a bit rid.
It's a sense of pride as well. Like I said to you on the episode last week around the fitness racing stuff, when I've been to watch other people do things, like when I watched Mrs. do the marathon, I felt inspired. And not only did I feel inspired to go and do it, but I had a real sense of respect for her as well. Like when she finished, I was just like, I was like, wow, you've done a marathon. I only watched certain sections of it. I didn't watch through the whole thing like you can do at HYROX. But even then, she came back on the finish line. You saw that look in her eyes. You know what he just accomplished. I remember having that real sense of like, wow, I'm really proud of you, which is it's not something like a lot of couples feel, or even like a lot of friendship groups feel. Having that real sense of like, wow, you're doing something really impressive physically. And I got that feedback from like not only Amy but like my family and obviously Dan and Mark, who came down to watch. There was a real sense of like, you know, I'm feeling the love here, and it was nice.
Which is, it's amazing. I think if you're gonna, I don't know, if you're someone who never pushes himself, or there's something out there that you think not a lot of people would choose to do that. So it sort of puts you in this category of people who that you choose to do tough things. And I think we've said on the podcast numerous times, if you choose to do tough things, it makes the rest of your life, in my opinion, feel a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I think it makes other people around you realise how achievable it is. I've noticed it more with like in my business with transformations, and when you just transform someone's life from the way they look, behave, feel, that gets reciprocated to their friends, family, and they see those things and they go, oh, well, if that person can do it, I can do it. It becomes easier and more manageable mentally when you know someone who's been through it. So, like, you know, just maybe even me doing it and me having prepared for it, it might make you be like, oh, actually, well, if Ryan can do it, yeah, I can do it. It looks fun. I reckon I've got that in the locker if I really push myself. So,
I think even just you like explaining some of the mistakes that you made as well, like you'll not be alone doing that. There'll be other people who maybe, I don't know, they don't preempt how nervous they're going to be, or like the timings in between, and like how much they need a piss. They just don't. They don't preempt that stuff. And like, why would they? So I think you've definitely shed a lot of insight. If anything, for me, just being nosy, and me sort of you answering the questions that I had and giving me the insights, because I've always said that I've had a couple of friends who've done HYROX, but I've never spoke to them in depth about it. They just go, yeah, it's mint, mate, you should do it. And I'm like, great, yeah. Thanks.
There's one other thing that actually, one insight that I forgot that I did write in the notes that I definitely should mention. So the burpees, right? You've seen, do you see it's, they have like essentially like a carpet laid out, and there's like almost like a grid on the carpet. So I think it does help because you can jump between the grids and the lines, so you know kind of how far you're going. Now what they don't tell you is when you jump on the burpees, my feet were slipping. And I was like, why are my feet slipping all the time? So I'd go down for my burpee, come up and I'd jump, I'd slip. I'm like, why is it so slippy on it?
Oh, God.
And then I realised as I got towards the second half, then, oh my God, this whole carpet is completely drenched in sweat. And then I remember looking at my hands and going, oh no. I mean, by this point, don't get me wrong, I was equally as sweaty and horrendously, you know, out of breath. But it did just take a little bit of the edge off burpees for me, and it made that last 25 metres just a little bit less enjoyable. And then I remember running like out onto my latch, rubbing my hands down, going, right, remember, don't touch your face again with your hands now. So that wasn't the most hygienic thing, but something that people should remember. You
could have just put some germaphobes off there, mate.
Really?
Just be like, I mean, look, about HYROX now.
If you're a germaphobe, just don't go to HYROX anyway, because there's a lot of bodily fluids. There's guys running around in like tops off, and I mean, honestly, mate, even some of the girls are quite scary. Like you go to these events and they're built, they've got trapped shoulders, you can tell they're probably coming from a CrossFit background. Just the aura in this place is really cool, and there's an energy, but it isn't hygienic, let's be honest. Having said that, I don't want to do HYROX to this service and say it's very unhygienic. But there's sweat, you know what I mean? Like on the arena, there's going to be these things, these events, and especially when people aren't wearing t-shirts that soak these kind of fluids up, it's just going to drop everywhere. And it's not dangerous in the fact that you're going to slip on it. I wasn't at no point on the course was there like big patches of sweat, but I would say definitely on the burpees. Just be pre-warned about that.
Fair. No, I'm glad you've shed us some light on that. Which you mentioned next one. January is it?
Yeah,
Manchester?
January 25th, so pretty much 3 months to the day away from the last one, which was obviously Birmingham, and just a lot to work on now. I'm really excited to kind of get this hit better, start running again. I'm really hoping heading into this next event that I can actually do some running before the event, and I'm not going in like, you know, having not run for 7 or 8 weeks. But a lot of recovery now, for sure.
That's what you say, the top 1 or 2 things you're going to work on. Is it just the running? Is it any particular one of the events, like ski row, wall balls, anything like that?
It's a really good question. Wall balls, without a shadow of a doubt, wall balls need some work. I'd love to be able to go into those wall balls at the end and just be able to bang out like 50, 60 in a row. It just saves you so much time.
Which I think it's hard to train for because you're under so much fatigue.
It is. It's so hard to train for that last one because the only way you can replicate that is do the whole thing again.
Which always fascinates me when you see like 400 metre runners at the Olympics or like 1500 metre runners, and they're the ones who like that last 100 metre sprint. It looks incredible when you see them just like bombing down, but you've got to take yourself to dark place and train under some serious fatigue to get good at that.
Yeah, to be able to sprint in the last little bit. Yeah,
Mad.
yeah.
But,
And I think that's it. There's probably not much more I want to add, really. I think the only other thing that I found quite relatable is, you know, when clients maybe have said to you in the past, like, I wish I'd started this sooner.
Yeah.
Whether it is just like the exercise or they're getting in shape or working on the nutrition. I really felt that. I did. Like, I really felt like I wish I'd done this a few years ago. I wish I'd got into this a bit sooner. I mean, I'm only 33, but even at that age, you can be a little bit late to the game sometimes. Having said that, the guys who came the top 2 of the whole kind of weekend, the top 2 men's open time, I think one was like 58 and 57, something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really good times.
That's mega.
That's not in the pros, because the pro category is higher weights. But in the men's open, with the kind of standard men's weights, there were some great times. But those guys, it tells you their age range, and they were in the 35 to 39 category. Cool. So,
fair.
Yeah.
Time yet, mate?
There is time.
There is time.
Give me a few more years. Hunter McIntyre, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, hunting for Hunter.
Hunting for Hunter.
Hunting for Hunter.
Might have to change the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
Or start a new one.
I'll just call him out. Just call him out.
The Hunting for Hunter podcast.
Yeah. But no, mate, is there any sort of closing comments from you about, I suppose, you know, your HYROX experience in general? How would you summarise it?
Phenomenal. Really good. Very well organised. Definitely can't wait to the next one. And if anyone is thinking about doing it, just go for it, honestly. Like, just start. My biggest advice is this: if you're on the fence and you think it's something that you are gonna do, but you're a bit unsure about whether it's the right thing for you, a spectator ticket is like 15 quid. Go and watch one of the events. Like, just travel wherever it is, whether it's in London, go and see one. There was actually a few people we got talking to there who were doing other events. They weren't actually competing that weekend, but they came down just to see what it's like, just to get a feel for the environment. There's one person who was doing Manchester next month, and they came down. They were a couple, and they said, "Yeah, we've got a doubles. We just wanted to come and see what it's like." So, and I said, "Do you not want to give it a go?" No, they go, "Honestly, I wish it was today." Yeah, because they were already signed up and they were raring to go. But yeah, go down, watch one of the events. I guarantee you'll leave there feeling inspired, because there's so many different shapes and sizes. Not everyone's like looks like an athlete. Everyone's, you know, spread across different levels of ability, and you know, people are just doing it for the fun of it as well, and the majority of people are just doing it for the fun of it. So yeah,
amazing.
Go and give it a go.
I feel like you've just talked to me directly there, mate. But no, I think if you are listening or watching, and maybe you know someone who's toying around with it, or maybe they are a bit of an adrenaline junkie, like, send them this episode, because I honestly think it's been such an insight. Like, I've watched the occasional HYROX YouTube stuff, and you get some insights, but to this level of granular detail, no, you don't. So I honestly think it's been such a useful resource for everyone, really, all involved. So
thanks. Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted it to be. Just going over the finite details and getting all the nuts and bolts, so people know exactly what to expect if you are going to do your first HYROX. Yeah,
that's why we're keen to sort of swoop in and record this on the Monday, like a couple of days after, because I can see how hyped you are. I can see how just that level. You're beaming, mate. You're beaming. That's good. Yeah.
I'm like a pregnant lady, glowing.
Is that what HYROX does to you? Makes you feel?
Should we end it there? If you want to feel glowing like a pregnant lady, do a HYROX.
No, awesome, mate. I think, if you're happy signing off there, just
absolutely, guys. Thank you for joining us on the Fit Dads podcast. We'll see you on the next one.
See you soon.